I've seen people learn a lot from psychedelics. I've learned a lot. My stance is that if we're talking specifically about psychedelics, they're the least harmful to people and to the society. Hi everybody, I'm Childe, I'm here at Diffus. We've just been having a chat about my album and my plans, my musical plans and my life plans going forward.
How did you start making music?
I've always made music. My mum makes music and I was given a guitar, I think when I was about 5 years old, and immediately I was just like, this is something I can do. This is where I can take this energy and I can put it somewhere.
Which music inspires you?
I am a massive Radiohead fan. Tom York using his voice to kind of wail and give emotion that way was super inspirational to me. And then I grew up listening to bands like Bright Eyes, Conor Oberst, and I was obsessed with the storytelling. And I just wanted to write stories.
How was your time at the Brit School?
Every bit as iconic as you'd think. I arrived from the countryside to the Brit School, which is in London, which was like a big shock for me. I actually went there to do theatre, thinking that I was going to be an actor. But it was a place where creativity was completely embraced and celebrated. So even though it wasn't where I honed my skill or even my drive, it was deeply inspiring.
Can music be taught?
Explained, I believe it can, which is that if you feel it, someone else might feel it. So that's fairly simple to me. I think if you try and analyze and break it down too much, you lose the essence of what you're trying to do, which is transfer a feeling from you to someone else.
How did you find your sound?
That took me a long time because, again, I'm telling a story first. So I needed to figure out how that story needed to sit and how it needed to sound. My voice is my main instrument and that kind of dictates a lot of what I do. So I think it was mostly about understanding how to use my voice as an instrument. That was the most important thing in defining my sound as Childe. Because now it doesn't matter which genre I sit on or which wave I ride, it's like there's a backbone of me and my voice.
How did you approach making your album?
I approached it possibly in the wrong way, but in a way that made sense to me, which was that I used writing my songs. I tell the story, I write it down, and then I use that as a way for me to understand what's happened. It's sort of like a self-therapy. Like, I don't understand it, then I write it down, I can have this removed perspective, and then it makes sense. I tried to not put too much pressure. I let this just be a collection of songs from the last few years of my life of where I've been feeling. I think it's really important to me that it's real and it's where I am right now.
How did the title Stoned and Supremely Confident come about?
So there's lots of things going on. There's some irony, which I hope people understand. But then there is also total factual energy. It is who I am. It is the way I live my life and the way I deal with my ADHD and amongst other things. But the name of the record, the kind of concept of like the phrase Stoned and Supremely Confident came from me sitting down with my friend and we put on the new Beatles documentary, the like Disney version. And we were like, how are they writing all these incredible songs just one after the other? They just have to sit down and they pick it up and it just comes out. And we were like, there's a combination here. There's a perfect combination of being stoned and supremely confident. So I was like, oh my God, that's it.
Do you think confidence is important?
I think confidence is one of the most important things we have. Of course, it has negative connotations. When somebody is overly confident, it means they've lost their rational viewpoint. It can lead you to having all sorts of unfounded self-belief. But confidence is also the thing that allows us to be ourselves. Often we're clouded with shame and with so many other impactful things from around us that we aren't able to be ourselves, or I'm certainly not. When I find that confidence, I can be more honest. So for me, confidence is not a dirty word at all. Confidence is something that you should have pride in.
Why did you choose to write about the use of substances?
It wasn't like a conscious effort to make this about substances or about addiction or about abuse or about anything like that. It just happens that those things have entered my life, and one of the lead singles is Chemical Balance. It's the very opposite. That's not a song about taking medication. It's a song about why we need to trust our eyes and our ears and not necessarily rely always on medication as a solution.
What's your take on psychedelics?
I don't know nearly enough to be giving a sort of like, this is what I think. I've seen people learn a lot from psychedelics. I've learned a lot from the use of psychedelics. My stance is that if we're talking specifically about psychedelics, they're the least harmful to people and to the society. Each person's choice is their own, of course, but my stance is open.
In which ways has ADHD affected your life?
I found fitting into a normal routine very, very difficult. I found authority very challenging. Centering my mind and focusing and feeling and not just being all over the place was really a challenge. And I think when they discovered I had ADHD, it was more because when I was doing something that I cared about and I was focused on, I could focus perfectly for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that could be like, you know, drawing, anything creative, basically. I was like fully immersed, I was fully in. It's still a burden because I find myself in contrast with other people sometimes. I'm not able to sit down, I can't be in one place for more than 10 minutes. I need new sensation all the time. So it does definitely have effects on my life, but I understand it now. Whereas when I was a child, I was running around with the sort of hose that I didn't know, it was just spraying everywhere. I didn't know what to do. It just like made no sense. Now I've learned what to do. I've learned that I just have to not beat myself up and realize that I have these tools for channeling it, which are making music or things that I can use my brain for. Embracing the need for stimulation. I feel it's a superpower. I feel like I can use it for my benefit and to feel good.
What's your experience with medical treatment?
I was treated medically for ADHD as a child. For like 10 years I took Ritalin. And because I had to fit into the routine of what the world outside said I should do, it was a useful tool because it allowed me to do that. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to stay there. I wouldn't have been able to stay in education. I wouldn't have been able to mix well with society almost as a child. But I do believe that it was dampening my creativity.
What's next for Childe?
I want to embrace more of where I've come from musically, perhaps strip back some of the music and leave my voice more exposed in some places. Because I'm now touring and seeing that is what's connecting with people. I'm going to keep writing. I have 2 new songs that I think are my best songs ever. So I'm going to go to work now, get them out to the people.